as we learned last time, we learned a bit about a proposition and what a proposition is. So in general, or in speaking, anybody want to lay out what they believe this idea of a proposition is? It's what you want your audience to say yes to. You want them to agree with you at the end, whatever you want them to agree with you on. And so we came up with a couple rules for that proposition. And what were the rules for the proposition? What were some of the things? Do you remember? There should only be one what?
One claim assertion.
Well, yeah, one claim made, right? So only one claim is going to be made within that proposition. What else? I wrote them, wrote them all over there. Do you remember?
Topic debate.
What, hon?
Topic debate.
Absolutely. So that this proposition exists within the realm that it actually does have either two or more sides, right? So it can be debated. Good. No reason to debate something everybody's on the same page with, or everybody agrees with, or we already know, or it's already being like really, really established as true. All right, what else? What, hon? Go to opposing viewpoints. And why do I say go to opposing viewpoints?
Because it'll link you to 1,000 related articles.
It'll link you to 1,000 related articles, and also maybe different ways to approach the topic that you're considering. Because fact is, people have been doing research on contingent issues for a long period of time, for years and years and years and years and years. So contingent issues, ones that are always going to have two sides, or ones that will always be debated, will have some kind of expertise or research on it. But beyond that, specifically, they will have a lot of different ways that you can go about and maybe coming up with alternatives to organizing this topic. And what was the last thing that I really wanted you to do? Do you recall? That. The proposition should have the word that, not the word about. Good job. One will help you to be an informative speech, and one will assist you in a persuasive speech. So making sure that we we keep those four things in mind as we're writing. So the last time we spoke, and if we're looking back at our piece of paper, and I believe it's page 38, correct? Is that the one that, or 30?
No, 34.
34. So we were looking at maybe page 34, yes. And we were looking at the propositions of fact, correct? And we learned that the propositions of fact are propositions that will try to get an audience to either agree or say yes to the truth or the falsity of a assertion or of the claim that you're making. So whether it be that we're trying to prove something to be true, maybe an outstanding debate on whether something exists or whether something is going on or whether something is positively factual, right? So whether it's true, or perchance we want to prove something that's already been proven true, as instead, everybody false. Good job, absolutely. So maybe we want to be like, you haven't heard the whole story, and I am here to tell you that one. Sound good? So we read through a couple options of these propositions of fact, correct? Awesome. So if I had to give you a topic right now, and I said something like, here's the topic. The topic is not suggesting anything necessarily. This is the topic that we're looking at. This could be an informative or a persuasive speech.
I was still say yes to that.
Just so that we know where this one is. He's all for free college tuition. But let's put it and contextualize it as something factual or as a proposition of fact. Okay? So what is it about free college tuition that we know, that we can ground, that would be a statement that we could prove true about free college tuition. What does it do? What does it not do? What will it solve? What will it benefit? What will it harm? What will it hurt? But contextualizing that and making that clear. So what I want you to do is simply talk to a neighbor next to you. And what you are going to do is you are going to come up with a general purpose and a proposition of fact. All you have to do is the proposition. So remember that your first general purpose is going to be what, everybody? You know how to write it.
To inform.
That's right. To persuade. And then, for the purpose of your homework, and also for this little activity, we're going to write the word proposition right here. And all you do for the proposition, much like that of the central idea, is bring down these two words. All you're going to write are the words to persuade. And who are you persuading? Great. My audience. And now the next word is key. Everybody? Yes. And then you are going to fill in the blank with to finish out the sentence with your partner. Now here's something new and interesting that I'd like to extend to you for the opportunity of this speech. Before, our audience was that of our college students, correct? If there is a topic that you know you are going to be using in your future, that you know you want to speak on behalf of like an organization that you work for, that you know that you maybe want to give, etc. If you would like to clarify this audience as something other than the students in the classroom, you are also more than welcome to do that. And you can talk to us as if we are that audience. So let's say it'd be like to persuade college administration or the state of California, or to persuade college instructors. Does that make sense? And now I can narrow my focus and target specifically that audience. That also helps me to assess what they may, or what holdups they may have about the topic, what apprehension they may have a topic, what outstanding beliefs they may not view in the topic. So if you want to take this step, you are more than welcome to, and we can work on that. But for right now, know that you can also simply address it to our college audience, and that's a great way to do it as well. So go ahead and chat with a buddy, and then I'll come back to you in like 2 minutes. Go.
I feel fat enough.
You're not in.
No, I was. I moved. I leaned to watch.
Yes, we did.
And it was awful.
So I got all 4 languages.
What happened?
I got all 4 languages.
Oh, that's the worst. How long ago?
Friday.
All right, yeah. You got some good painkillers still, or what?
I haven't been taking it.
Really? No, I had all 4 of mine. They were impacted. I had to hammer them out, all 4 of them. It was a beast.
So how do we end this?
No pressure.
Well, we could say that.
Free tuition.
That free tuition up front, for my audience, that free tuition up front will, what will it do? About, so my audience said, providing free tuition. Yeah, that's obvious. Because this is done. They do this in like Switzerland. It's everyone can go to school for free. They pay your living expenses, and then you pay 3% of what you make forever. It's just a 3% tax for the rest of your life on whatever you earn. So if you went and got a journalism degree, you're making $50,000 a year. $1,500 of that would be your payment, but over forever. And I mean, I think that would be. Unless you want to do like the obvious ones, yeah, everyone will go, great. What's the real benefit of that? If you're going to sell free tuition to people, how are you going to do it?
So they would have to look into it.
No. I'm saying I'd absolutely be for it being free.
Okay, everybody. How'd we come? Yes? Who wants to share? Yes. You too. Can't wait. Go. So the general purpose is for yours? And then what was your proposition in regards to free college tuition? Well, read it in a full sentence. Huh. Okay. Nope, but in regards to, so the word was free college tuition, which I love. Do you remember that? Okay, so let's hold on to that one, but keep that in your mind also for a purpose of value. Okay, so let's look at one of the words that you just used was that people who take night classes, or students who take night classes do better than those who take morning classes. So, and I just erased this one. Because it holds those words, it's already going to be a proposition of value. So we're going to hang on to that one. But let's listen to see at another one. And yeah.
I hope to persuade my audience that free college tuition would be beneficial. I will discuss where the funds will be drawn from, the importance of college education, and the disadvantages as well as the advantages of free tuition.
Amazing. Okay, good. Your claim was to persuade my audience that you said free college tuition is what?
Beneficial.
Is beneficial. If I leave it like that, what are you wondering as a critical thinker and as what we talked about in regards to context? What is it beneficial to? Who, what, and you get to choose this. This is also a very easy way to narrow the focus. So let me take this next step, though. You gave us some main points. And your first main point was?
Discuss where the funds would be drawn from.
And then the next one was?
The importance of college education.
Okay. And then the third one was?
The disadvantages, but also the advantages of free college tuition.
Okay. So, what do we have here? Sometimes you all know the reasons already as to why you believe this is true. But also, we can oftentimes see within maybe your main points, if you've led us on to maybe what this contextualized benefit is. But if we had to, as a class, come up with some reasons as to what it's beneficial to, or who it's beneficial to, or when, could you do that? Go ahead, and then.
Well, I wanted to add that there is an opposition to that point of view.
Okay, but this is just the one that we're doing, but
Okay.
wonderful.
Yeah, so I was wondering, would that go under, the reason I'm asking is, does it go under disadvantages or advantages? No.
Because in this speech, and we're going to talk about these three in a second, you are acting as an advocate on behalf of your topic. The only speech that is going to require you to address the opposition is the proposition of policy. Otherwise, the proposition of fact and the proposition of values purpose is to simply lay out reasons or claims why we can see this as being beneficial. But again, beneficial to...
I put to persuade my audience that providing not only free tuition, but also books, supplies, and room and board will create a better educated workforce and turn a profit.
Okay, so you have two claims as to what its purpose is. You want me to believe that it's going to benefit the
Society at large.
Workforce. And then the other one was that it's going to benefit what?
Us financially.
Financially. So what we could do now, do we look at those two things? Do they have anything in common?
It's beneficial to society at large.
Okay.
And specifically voters.
Okay.
Not just students. Because the first thing we say free tuition, every person is going to say it's a handout.
All right, so
Get around that.
what you've just, but he's talked about the workforce, and within the workforce, why do we want to increase the workforce? What's the purpose of increasing the workforce? And really, like getting people to have what? More jobs, which means more money, which means more financial stability, which means that the country also has more money coming in, right? And we're able to do other things or provide other things. So we may want to throw in a word here beforehand. And we may start with the start of the word could be fun, and the end could be financial. That free college tuition is financially beneficial to U.S. society. Does this make sense? So what made this a bit more clear? Now we know what, now we know what we're grounding it in, right? Now we know that everything that we're trying to prove is simply the benefit in regards to finances in society. We could talk about a million and other benefits, right? That it's beneficial to upward mobility of returning students. Maybe that's one of the things that we've seen. That it's beneficial to, I heard over here, to low-income students, right? And so it could be beneficial in that way, and we could come up with the ways it benefits them. Taking the word here in regards to beneficial, this is what we're really trying to prove here. So this financial beneficial. So when we have main points like funds, where the funds come from, and the importance of a college education, and some disadvantages and advantages, does this, or do these main points, or are they, facts to prove it's financially beneficial? No. Now, could we get in there, yes, that answer? Absolutely. But for propositions of fact, you will organize your main points topically. Some of you did that topical organization before, so organized by topics. But these topics, in essence, you can, again, have 2 to 5 main points. But each main point is going to be a fact that proves that proposition true. Don't do informative points as well. So we don't want to know like the background or the history or like an entire paragraph on statistics. That doesn't make sense. Instead, we want to understand the ways that college tuition being free is going to benefit society financially. Is this making sense? So doing something, why is it going to benefit them financially in U.S. society, financially beneficial? So we could say something like, by first describing how it is financially beneficial to students, by describing how it financially benefits who?
The society,
Okay, what society?
U.S. society.
Okay, that's already there. So who else is a member of U.S. society?
Taxpayers.
Yeah, okay, so how it can financially benefit taxes and how it can by describing how it financially benefits the workforce, right? So we could say something. And now these three different ways of which it benefits will encompass this idea of like how it's going to benefit this overall U.S. society. If we can get students, we can get taxes, and we can get the workforce all up and going, it's going to be beneficially, financially helpful for our society. And that's how we would pull those together. So in essence, when we support the proposition here, or when we start to put in this information and we add those main points, what then does this end up being? A thesis statement, absolutely, because now you have a combination of your proposition and your main points, absolutely. So just like your central idea and main points, to inform my audience about Mac computers, I'll tell you about where they were made, how they were discovered, and what they do.
Can you combine those two to make like one thing?
Oh, good question. Okay, so a thesis, remember, is a combination of what? The proposition and main points. So all you're going to do in order to write your thesis is simply repeat this part and add in the main points. So all you'll do is bring down the proposition, literally like cut and paste it once you do it, and then add your main points to it. And that will make your thesis statement for your homework. And how would this be organized? What type of proposition is this that we're going to be asking about? It is a fact. Good, that's a question on your homework as well. So it's proposition of fact. I'm going to prove this to be true to you.
Which homework assignment are you doing?
The homework that is due for the persuasive thesis approval on Wednesday. It's tomorrow.
You're saying the thesis is due, there's not a separate homework, right?
No.
Oh.
All you have to do is turn into the discussion board the general purpose, the proposition, the thesis, and then it asks you what type of proposition you use, fact, value, or policy. So make sure that you're getting in on those. Does anybody have any questions, or did anybody think over the weekend, hey Amanda, I had a proposition of fact.
Yes.
Can you help me organize it?
Yes.
Yes. Any? Okay, I have yours.
Okay.
I've already rewritten it for you. So let's hold on to that. Let's go. Do you have any questions? Just because we only have like 20 more minutes of this before we go on to value. Like, does anybody want to throw theirs out?
Did you, look, I submitted mine over the weekend. Did you?
I responded and I gave you the feedback as well. Anybody thinking of something?
Well, for fact, but you're either doing fact, value, or policy.
We're just doing fact right now.
No,
Okay, so this is what I'm just going to show this a little bit to the audience about how they can see this. I need to flip it before I show it, but let's do a friendly reminder. Fact makes an assertion or a claim that can either be proven true or false, and it says one thing, correct? And remember, it needs to be contextualized, so we can ground it in the larger understanding of the world around us, or perchance an audience, or perchance what we're measuring it by. Because beneficial in general is not going to help you organize this any better. These are all great tools to help you narrow your focus and get a bit organized. And then once you do, remember that you will have topical organization. You can have between 2 to 5 main points. Do not feel like you have to have 3. I just wrote in 3. And you can always simply take the language that is used right here and rework it so that it makes sense. Yes. Oh, no, just So are you ready to move on to value? All right. I'm going to keep this up here because propositions of value are organized topically as well. And propositions of value are typically going to be, well, if we will, propositions or claims that suggest something is good, bad, right, wrong, moral, immoral, just, or unjust. So what I want you to do is write down really quick, and it doesn't have to be in this proposition area, but just something on your piece of paper. If you had to tell me what your favorite childhood, or let me put it this way. If you had to tell me what the best childhood movie is, write it down on your piece of paper right now. It's the best childhood movie. Write it down. All of you just lit up. All of your faces just lit up. See when we just go back and nurture our inner child. Best childhood movie. Now we're talking about value.
Now we're talking about value.
Now we're talking about value.
Just when we started talking about the childhood movie, we're talking about value.
Yeah. So, what, everybody? Now, you've each written a movie down. What made that movie the best? Write down 2 things that made it the best. And just saying, because it's the best is not a reason. What are like 2 or 3 reasons as to why it was the best? All right. Let's go here. What was the best childhood movie? She said The Land Before Time. Anybody else write The Land Before Time? Okay, fun though. I love it. What were your reasons as to why it was the best? The characters and the humor. What about, what was your best childhood movie?
Space Jam.
Space Jam! About basketball. Had the Jordans.
Oh, the shoe.
The shoe. Anybody else write Space Jam?
No.
No. But for you, why was Space Jam the best?
I put because Michael Jordan was in it and Bugs Bunny was in it, so it's like you have like an icon from the real world and then you have like an icon from.
So now you could say, yeah, okay, good. I like that. It's organized. What did you say? What?
I like blame.
That's okay. Yeah. Did you have one?
I would say The Lion King.
Did anybody else now write down The Lion King? What? Okay, good. So, the best movie to you was like, did you write down your reasons or did you come in later? Okay. So if you can think of 2 reasons why that's the best movie, go ahead and write it down. But let's go right here first. Why? So you said The Lion King. Why was it the best?
Storyline
And?
and relatable characters.
The relatable characters. Great. And for you?
I put the music and the storyline.
The music and the storyline. Good. And then, who else said it?
Also the storyline, and it's actually like an emotional,
Because of the emotions. Good. And now, did you have any other reasons as to why it was the best for you?
Mainly because of the music and because of the lovable characters.
Yes. Music, characters. All right. So we're getting storyline, music, characters, etc. What if we come to learn here? Who else has a movie that was the best? They just need to scream. Scream it.
The Wizard of Oz.
And?
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Ah. Anybody else had one that they were like, oh, I love that movie?
Not the crappy Tim Burton one, though. The original
You're
James
now.
Bond.
Everybody loves the original. Okay, you liked the new. And this is a great example.
Stop his grade, please.
What we've come to learn, and what I hope that we each remember, everybody has a different set of what? Values. And when it comes to things like things being good or bad, each of us is going to have a different description or reason as to what makes something good or bad, based upon our life experiences, based upon our background, based upon, and we have a lot of different things that could have influenced us in this childhood one, right? Like, what were the reasons as to why the character or the music or the storyline or the emotions were important to you at, like, I don't know, what, 8, 12, however old you were when you watched that movie, right? Same thing if I had to ask you what was the best hamburger in all of Los Angeles. How many of you would say In-N-Out?
Definitely not.
It's good though.
Now, how many of us would say something else? And what's your something else?
Apple pan.
Apple pan.
Hey, that's a goat. He's right.
Okay, so 2 people would say apple pan, someone would say In-N-Out burger. But debates will go on for quite some time. And if you've ever done a, no, this is the best, no, this is the best, no, this is good, no, this is, right? Values are very tricky because they are unique to each individual person, and the language of a value is very much unstable. Good and bad have a multitude of meanings to them, and especially to the individual, you each have your own understanding of what these words are described as. And so when we make value judgments, that kid is bad. When you were younger and your parents were like, that's a bad kid. Like, the idea of a bad kid in my head has a lot of different criteria than what may have had a bad kid. I know that, like, growing up, I grew up in a very strict Christian high school. So bad kids were kids who drank alcohol, and kids who said bad words, and kids who had sex.
So kids.
But that's what I was told, and that's what I knew, and that was my only, like, exposure to the world. So I was like, that's bad. Thank God. I was like, so, like, and right? Like, that it was cool to not drink. How amazing is that? Right? Like, you were cool because you didn't. I love that idea.
They sent you to USC, which I love.
What's
Like after
that?
that, yeah, you're right to the #1 party school on the West Coast.
Community college. I made a
Oh,
hangover at community college. So in regards to, so we said here, in regards to the proposition, you gave me a proposition before. You said better than, right? So in that case of better than, have you ever done a better or best or worst or whatever? Okay. Have you ever done the paper? Has anybody ever written a better or a comparison paper? No. Okay. And that's okay. Not a worry. I'm going to go ahead and, like, let's just say we'll hold on to this for the interest of time. Because if you are going to do a better best, that is the one that would be something to compare. And that pattern of organization is simply a compare and contrast, whereby you'll first lay out the first one, then you'll lay out the second one, and then you tell which one is better, or you can lay out the main point. But you and I can do that one on our own.
that's actually half the articles on the internet. Star Wars movies ranked. That's better best.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's every single article.
And they have to give you what types of things to make their point clear.
Just reasons.
Reasons! Claims, absolutely, yep.
So say I did what he said, like did a list. That would be like the value because you value like what's better than the next for like a like he said movies or like an artist discography or something like that.
Oh, if you wanted to say that, like, that one's better than the other,
Yeah, or like he said like a list.
we wouldn't do lists.
Oh, okay.
That would be more of a, if you were doing a list and you were, if you wanted to suggest why one thing was the best, your list in essence is your main points. It's the best because, it's the best because, it's the best because.
But he was like subgrouping like Star Wars, so he was saying like Star Wars 3 is better than Star Wars 7.
Mm-hmm. And you can do those. Those would be a compare and contrast. So you would first, so you could do a couple different things. To persuade my audience that Star Wars 2 is better than Star Wars 7, I will describe how it has better characters, how it has a better storyline, or how it has a better effects. Or you can say, to persuade my audience that Star Wars 2 is better than Star Wars 7, I will describe first Star Wars 7, then I will tell you about Star Wars 2, and then I will show you how to outrank 7. And it's like that, yeah. Because it's already a value speech, we know it's your opinion. All you have to do, though, in your introduction is you are going to work to clarify why and what that value means. So, if I was going to say, to persuade my audience that the iPhone 6 is the best smartphone on the market for college students. So I would then go into my main points, right? So let's go ahead and maybe even try that one. Does that sound good? That to persuade my audience that or even to persuade my audience that the best form of exercise for all college students is bike riding. What I need to do is figure out here and here, right? So now if I want to write my thesis statement, all I'm simply going to do is bring down my proposition. So I'll just repeat it, right? But now I need my main points. I need to prove that this is the best form of exercise for college students. So my main points could be something like, it's the best exercise for college students because what?
You can run errands on a bike and turn and get a 2-for-1 and leave your car in the garage.
Sure.
You can exercise while you're doing stuff you don't really want to do anyway.
Yeah, because but here's the only thing. We're trying to talk about exercise, right? So in regards to exercise, why is it going to be the best? Not only because I can run errands, good, but that's more of a operational.
Well, in the course of your daily life, you can get your exercise in.
Right, you get your mileage in while you're doing your
So what does that mean? What are you doing? You're saving what? Okay, good. So it's beneficial because you
have room for
can,
exercise.
right, multitask. That's nice. What else about college students? Why would bike riding be nice?
look for a parking space.
Okay. Does that help with exercise?
No.
No. So why is it the best for college students?
It helps college
Gives
students
you more
who are
energy so that you have the ability to do your college work.
It's cheaper. Okay.
It's a low impact exercise on your body.
Yes! Okay, it's low impact exercise on your body. Whilst what else?
Economical value.
Okay, good. Again, is that about the exercise?
No.
college students.
College students, good. So we can sprinkle that in. Good, we want to know. But what do college students want with exercise? I love this idea. It's low impact, right? It's low impact. So why is that a best form? What happens with low impact exercise?
You don't get injured.
Okay, good. Because college students may not have a lot of what? Money, time,
Health
insurance. Good, good, good. So, less chance of injury. Things you may not have thought about. When I didn't have health insurance for 10 years, I thought, oh, wow, can't do that. Too risky. Can't go downhill skiing. Too risky.
Really? You have skiing? No.
I've never been skiing. What? I'm just saying. Another thing, does it work just your stomach? So work just your arms?
Just your legs.
Just your legs?
No, it's good cardio.
It's a what? It's a full body workout in what? I don't have to go to the gym and do weight day, although we could. I don't have to then do a cardio day. I don't have to do then like a yoga day, a stretch, right? It's an all-in-one. And that may be beneficial in regards to a best form of exercise, that you can get a full body workout in one shot. Okay, does this make sense to you as to how you would organize these specific types of speeches? When you qualify something with a value, that it's good, that it's bad, that it's right or wrong, that it's moral, that it's immoral, your main points, again, are topically organized. You can have between 2 to 5 of them. Each main point is still going to be what you believe a reason to prove the proposition true. And remember that we want to steer clear. And the good idea about the idea of exercise is that we were able to realize, oh wait, money doesn't matter. And like, right, you're saving the environment isn't really what we're talking about with exercise either, right? So there's a lot of different elements that didn't fit into the criteria. And again, it helps you narrow your focus just a bit more. Does that sound good? So if you do have a compare and contrast that you're interested in doing, I'm more than happy to assist you with that. So let's look at the last one and go back to the first page. And what you're going to look at here is something called a proposition of policy. A proposition of policy is different from the others in that its job is to urge the audience to take action on something. A really easy hint for you as critical listeners in the future, if somebody's using the words should or should not, you typically have a proposition of policy. So the proposition of policy, let's look at some of the examples that it gives here. So the first one, the federal government should legalize recreational marijuana. Is this urging an audience to do something?
Yeah.
Is it urging you? Who have they chosen? The federal government, absolutely. And they want them to legalize what? Recreational marijuana. Fantastic. SMC should not recruit students from other colleges. So who are we influencing? SMC, right? So whatever powers that be that would be in charge of that, the agent, if you will. And we want our audience to agree that they what? Should not, but we want them to take the action, right? You should visit a dentist twice a year. This is a proposition of policy. Has the word should in it. If it didn't have the word should in it, let's look at it. To persuade my audience to visit a dentist once a year. Is it still urging you to take action? Yes, it just doesn't have the words in it. So we can see how it works there. You should donate blood. You should take a public speaking class. You should vote for, I put Jones there, but whoever that may be. Sure. So the proposition of policy is one that's going to urge your audience to take action. So what I want each of us to do is see if you can write a proposition. And remember, that proposition is simply going to be to persuade my audience to, not to, should, not. Okay? Ready? Talk with a buddy. Think about something that you would want us to take action on. Again, free college tuition could be the same topic, right? To persuade my audience that they should vote in the next election for free college tuition. Does that make sense? Like if we were encouraging you to do so? To persuade my audience that they must protest for free college tuition this next Tuesday, right? That would be something as well. So go ahead and try to write something there for yourself with a buddy that is a proposition of policy.
I had one issue. Afraid my audience that it's time to start taxing organized religion. Right now, churches, any cookie church, Scientologists, Catholics, none of them have to pay a cent. And yet, they run political action campaigns. They run ads for and against propositions. They funnel money at politicians, all that stuff. And so, which is their. I mean, if you want to do your right, that's your right. But I feel like if you're going to be mixed up in that kind of stuff, like the Mormons gave all this money in favor of Prop 8. Well, okay, all their tax-free dollars went to essentially was
I'm sorry.
hate
I
bill.
honestly, I'm totally fine. I just don't know why this is an issue. I keep getting this horrible anxiety.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
It happened to me over the weekend too. I think it's just a little thing, and it just freaks me out.
What do you think? You want?
Okay, everybody, let's take one hot second. So does anybody want to go ahead and tell me their proposition of policy? Oh,
I don't have. Oh,
what?
Me too. I have.
Yes. All right, I know. How about you two crazy cats back there? What you thinking? To persuade my audience. Anything you want us to do?
To persuade my audience that students should have a part-time job.
You nailed it! To persuade my audience that students should have a part-time job. Students where? In elementary school? Just kidding. High school, college, because there is research probably on a couple of those, right? If you were one whose parents were like, go on, get a job as soon as you turn 16 or 15, right? That would be maybe something that you could work on. Or if you believe that it's more that we should do it in college instead, then there's probably some reasoning behind that, right? Okay, what else? Anybody else have one? No.
To persuade my audience that they should eat less red meat.
Yes. Good. In your introduction, what would you need to qualify for us? Because I eat meat 20 meals a week. If you think about, though, how much meat you have, you probably do. So, but that's okay. The point here is, you would need to qualify that. When you say the word less, we could lay out that the average American is eating this much. The recommended amount is so, if you are going to eat it. So for the speech, note that when we are encouraging you to lessen, it's looking at about 5 or 6 meals of meat a week. Does that make sense? You can always qualify that in your claim if you wanted to in your proposition, or you could qualify it in your introduction. Yeah?
Could you use a cliche?
Yes.
So could you say, for a point,
Let's listen, everybody, really quick.
you want to persuade my audience that laughter is the best medicine.
Yes. Okay, but what word did you just use?
That laughter is the best medicine.
Best.
Oh.
You're not urging me to do anything. To persuade my audience to laugh. That's a policy.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's everyone? There you go.
Okay, you're right. Sorry.
But I love it.
I mean, it would be a fun topic, right?
Absolutely. It would be a very fun topic.
For what? Like a brain tumor?
You definitely need to qualify medicine, right? If you wanted to... But medicine for depression, yes. And you could qualify that in your introduction, to persuade my audience that laughter is the best medicine. And you could even add it on to, hey, listen, and you could add it on to the back and say something like, to persuade my audience that laughter is the best medicine for mental depression or mental health, something like that. Rather than taking a... Yeah. So, when you were younger and your parents said, go clean your room, what was the first thing you said in your head. It wasn't no.
It was no.
You wouldn't say no. No! You would instead say, yeah, it's plain, right? Because you would say, why? Give me $20. Your first response isn't going to be, hold on, let me get my wallet out. It's going to be, Mom, I want to go out with so-and-so. Can we go on a 9-day vacation? Why? Mom, can I have $600 for this trip? Why? You need to study 40 hours a week in order to be a successful student. Or you should study 40 hours a week in order to be a successful student. Where's the evidence on that? Why? I'm doing just fine with 20. The first example that what I just want to make clear is that in a proposition of policy, nobody's getting up off their butt just because you said so. And therefore, it establishes the psychological layout of your main points. There are always 3 main points in a proposition of policy. So if you have a should claim, note that you are going to have 3 main points. Your first main point is going to lay out the problems with not having your policy, or the weaknesses of like the current policy. My parents used to tell me to clean my room, and my answer would be, why? Especially as a kid, I am perfectly fine laying here with all of these clothes on the floor. It is not bothering me. Was it bothering any of you? No, it was bothering who? And your parents can get away with saying something like, you live in my house, so you clean this up. But my mom was also strategic, and she knew her audience, and she knew that I had what we would like to call a large fear of death. Amanda! Because if there is an earthquake and you are trying to get to the doorway, you could fall and trip over these clothes and not make it and die. So she lays out these what? Problems with not cleaning my room. I want to leave this piece of pizza here. I may want to eat it in the middle of the night. Amanda, if you do not clean that up, ants will come and they will crawl into your room in the middle of the night, and then they will crawl into your ear and they will eat your brain and you will die. Now, mind you, some of the problems here are clearly not correct, and we don't have a lot of evidence to support it, but as a child, these ideas worked for me. But what's going to urge your audience to get up off their butt and do something? You don't just vote for a president like Donald Trump without there having been a serious amount of problems laid out that you place in the mind of the audience in order to get them to take action. You don't vote for somebody like Barack Obama without having extenuating circumstances already. Other things are like, we need to improve Title IX on campus. Do we need to do it? Should we improve it? Well, we should, because there's many problems that exist with Title IX as it is. And so within your problems paragraph, you want to lay out at most 2 to 3 problems that exist without your policy or without having your policy. So even for example of, what was yours, ladies, real quick? Persuade my audience that students should work part-time. So the problems are that students have, maybe we want to lay out some claims, like students having too much flexibility allows them to fall behind or something like that. That students don't understand how to multitask, or that students don't know how to make a prioritized schedule, that students haven't learned that college is not teaching, there you go, life skills anymore, so the job can incorporate both of those, right? So there's a lot of problems that we could start to see and we can start to generate. So if we did something as simple as, like, for example, to persuade my audience that they should not drink and drive. You ever hear this speech before? Yeah. Probably a lot of times. People in your school even come and do like presentations on it. And how many people still drink and drive every day? Tons.
Getting lower.
But why are people still drinking? But hold on, we'll leave that there. What are the problems with drinking and driving? People will?
Die.
Okay, good, die. And just anybody, like I'm going to find statistics about people in the Midwest who are dying. If I want to persuade my audience to not drink and drive, what types of information in that death main point am I going to give you? On your audiences, right? Age group, maybe their demographic, any of that information, right? So to persuade my audience that they should not drink and drive by first describing the problems with drinking and driving. And then we have to lay out our second main point. This is the causes as to why the problems exist. Why is this going on? In an election, you will hear, for example, because of the Democrats, because of Barack Obama, because of the Democrats, because of Hillary Clinton, because of right? We place the blame there. What is the reason as to why people drink and drive?
Convenience.
So this is where we start to address the opposition. So I told you that the opposition is only addressed in the proposition of policy. And the causes main point is where you address that. It is where you have the opportunity to look at the opposing viewpoints, the pros and cons. Why are people against your policy or your idea? This would be what you listed here. But the purpose of laying out those causes is not simply to lay them out and be like, people are drinking, driving because it's more convenient. And you're like, shoot, that is convenient. I'm going to keep doing it. We want to instead counter-argue that cause and say, many people believe that drinking and driving is more convenient. However, this thought is ill-informed. And then we give them the reason as to why, or the because, right? So your second main point, that they should not drink and drive because of the problems with drinking and driving, the causes as to why people, what? Drink and drive, and finally, what do you think this one is? Problem, cause? Have you ever heard it before? If you want me to do something, the student one time gave a speech about how we should fund his movie. And then he got to the end of the speech and we never figured out how to give him money. I was like, what? That was the whole thing that you want me to do. How do you want me to do it? How do you want me to get up and do these types of things? Give your audience some practical solutions to taking on the policy. The issue here is that first, we need to have a need to persuade my audience that they should graduate high school. Sure, there is a need, but everybody in this audience has already graduated, right? So like, is there a need for this audience per se? Maybe not so much. To persuade my audience to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, do I need to do that? No, I more want it, right? And not saying that we shouldn't go see Guardians of the Galaxy, that's great, but it may be a better speech done factually to persuade my audience that Guardians of the Galaxy is the best science fiction movie, or value, right? Yeah.
Just a sidetrack question. So with policy speeches, we can use statistics.
Oh, you should use them in all of them, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just not as a main point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was my second question, because you said not to use.
Oh, that was, I said a paragraph about statistics. Like, I'll tell you about my family, my job, and then some statistics about me. And you're like, no, that's what this whole speech is. Use statistics as supporting everybody. Yeah, materials, absolutely. So then you're going to offer a couple practical solutions to this. So that is how you would write this one. Solutions to what? Not drinking and driving. So I'm going to put it back out onto all of you that you are going to come up with this thesis. You're going to come up with your general purpose, your proposition, and your thesis statement. And you'll submit that to the discussion board by noon tomorrow. If you have any questions about it beforehand, you know what you should do? Email me. And now we have about 10 minutes. We are all going to turn to the front, and we are going to concentrate on our friend, Laura, who is going to give us, actually we have about 9 minutes. And she is